This is called Fish's Call Sheet. It's where I celebrate the people behind the scenes who make production and all of the magic of our business happen. And one of the areas that everybody sees, but rarely do they understand what goes into it, is hair. So today I have the wonderful and talented Ashley Noel, who is a personal friend and an amazing, amazing artist.
Thank you. Thank you.
So welcome.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
you're so talented. We'll get into all of that. I guess the first thing I should kind of do is, so what's your official job title?
My official job title is Celebrity Natural Hairstylist.
What do people think you do when you say that?
That I only deal with like very kinky hair or like for black women.
Okay.
Yeah, usually that's what they they think of initially, but I do everything. So
That's what I was gonna say. What do you
yes,
really do? I ask everybody.
I create. It doesn't matter what kind of hair texture. It doesn't matter straight, long, thick, coarse, curly. I just like to create art on the head.
And it starts with kind of understanding who your client is,
Yes.
and kind of taking in that, and then taking in the tone of whatever this project is. A scene, an event, a photo shoot, whatever it
Yes,
is. It could be anything.
absolutely. What is the theme of whatever we're doing? Especially, I work on snowfall, so it's I talk to the wardrobe to see what vibe they're going for that scene. I read the script, and then that is how I understand exactly what I need to create on the head.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, on a call sheet, one of the things for hair that people don't think about is what is the sequence of what scenes? Because say you're going to do look number two, which may be scene, I don't know, D, say on A through J, right?
Hmm.
But then you need look one for A and for C, but you're going to shoot them out of order, you right? So then they give you this chaos, right?
Exactly.
And then you're
Exactly.
like, then you have to tell them the truth about how long some of these hairstyles take to go from one to the other.
Absolutely. You are hitting it on the head. Absolutely. It is a struggle because you tell them, hey, like, okay, especially doing natural hair, it's not as quick that you can just kind of go from one look to another. Maybe with somebody who has straighter hair where they may need a curl or this. Since I work on a period show, I have to do 80s hairstyles. It takes a lot, and my client has a lot of hair. So it takes time to transform her hair from one look, and then I have to put it to another look and then go back sometimes to the look that we did previously. What helps a lot is I love continuity. I take the pictures, put it in the book. I make sure that I get all the angles that I need so that if I need to recreate, and I also create shortcuts for myself on some of the styles. Sometimes I have to do hair in like 15 minutes and I'm like, that's not going to work. Like, I don't know. You're going to have to bend them just a little bit. Can you give me an extra 5 minutes?
So
Hmm.
once you kind of set a tone for a show, they have a outline of what they want and an idea.
Yes.
But you have this creative freedom, especially as a show goes on, right? Or as a project goes on, or depending on what kind of shoot you're doing, if you do a photo shoot or an event.
Hmm.
And as you go for that look, you make adjustments from one to the other. But in order for there to be a dramatic difference in look, it takes time.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to use a male example. My writing partner and I, we're always studying all these things on Arrow.
Hmm.
Have an actor who has a fro, but then when he transforms to superhero mode, he's got cornrows. Cornrows is a process, right? Like that's not,
Absolutely.
we
Yep.
joke as writers, we're like, okay, whatever emergency he was on his way to, it already happened and the person got away.
Right.
'Cause that's a 2-hour process to go
Yes,
from
it
a
takes,
really
yeah.
nice fro
Yes.
to
And then to
cornrows that
break it
are,
down,
especially
yeah.
that are like
Like
organized and
that'll
clean.
be neat. Yeah, it takes time. It definitely takes time. Sometimes you feel like you can't speak up because you're like, oh, I'm a hairstylist, right? And it's like, well, I'm on their time sometimes. You have to understand that you have to like create that boundary because if you don't, then they're going to always think that you can do something in 10 minutes. And then that to me stifles my creativity as well. And I can't execute the way I want to and translate well. And so, even going to like events and doing events, I can't do the same hairstyle that I did for the event before. When networks book for glam, sometimes they don't understand that it's going to take the time to do the hair. So they'll go, oh, you have an hour, and now you're like battling also with the makeup artist because they have to work and I can't move too much. So then they don't mess up, the face.
Let me step in real quick. I just want
Mm-hmm.
people to know what glam is, right? So
Yes.
for a big event or for like special projects, you get glam, which is basically kind of a dedicated time period for you to get glamorous essentially and prepared. You can't wear the same hairstyle from one event to the other, right? Because that's just not how it's done. And you
Mm-hmm.
can't have kind of the same style from event to event. Or sometimes if you work on 2 or 3 different projects, it has to be in the tone similar to the project you're working on or not too
Mm-hmm.
much like your other project. What's a hairstyle, right? Where you got
Mm-hmm.
super excited. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm going to be totally creative here.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn to the client and you say, okay, can I try something totally new? What
Mm-hmm.
are some of those that stick out in your mind where you're like, man, I loved this event or this hairstyle that I did?
So the last event before the quarantine that I did with Marseille Martin was for the premiere of Mulan, and she had extensions in that were long, and she was like, "We're done shooting the show." Because she's on Black, she was like, "We're done shooting. We're wrapped up, and so you can do whatever you want to this." I can, and I was like, "Okay." So she wasn't sure. This time usually we collab a lot. This time, no collab. She said, do whatever you want. You can be creative. I was like, this is great. Saw what she was wearing, and then I understood what event it was for. Since it's Disney, a lot of times people go to the events kind of with whatever the Disney theme is. So, and especially with the way the shape of what she was wearing, I was like, I'm gonna have to go with the shape and just kind of like bring it all together.
Right.
So I did a blunt bob across, and I said, but what can I do to give it some kind of oomph? I was like, I don't know. I thought about like a samurai, I guess, and so and how they have the buns, right? So I took a braid, I pulled it apart and went down the center of her for like the center part, and it was a long braid with the short bob, and I added some gold because she was wearing like gold twine or whatever in the hair, and it was just like all from inspiration from just what I know culturally, I guess, in a sense, from what I know for the event, and then aesthetically. And then again, it's a fine line to make sure that you don't offend anybody too, as well, right? Say people who aren't Black, wear cornrows and braids. Sometimes, depending on how it's done, the Black community feels like sometimes it could be done distasteful. But we, as a Black community, we're okay with people who are non-Black to wear braids. It's just, we see it as long as you understand where it comes from and where it was created, then we're okay. And I think that with that being that fine line, again, is like, I want to make sure that it's culturally okay, because I'm sensitive, and I just want to make sure that I'm sensitive as well to other cultures as well, but yet to understand that it is being creative and knowing that it's coming from a good place.
Yeah,
So
honoring a culture. I think that's the thing
yes,
is we should all want to borrow pieces and portions of each other's cultures and honor each other's cultures. We just have to make sure that we do it in a way that is honorable and respectful, right? So that we
absolutely.
don't start getting into cultural appropriation and what we can't do is ever mock or use it to make fun of or
Yes,
demean. And I think that's the
yes,
that's the problem is unfortunately all the people who have come before us who have misused it.
yes, absolutely,
You have to be more sensitive about how you do some of these things.
absolutely,
And also
absolutely.
culturally speaking, this is one of those things I think that maybe you could touch on is, people assume, like in any group, that the African American community is all one unified group, and that's not the case.
No.
And when you're doing hair for different people who have different backgrounds, some of them maybe have Nigerian parents
Yes.
versus they're from an area of South Africa, or they may even or from the United States or
Yes.
from Europe.
Yes. Yes. That's definitely a thing. I do have. worked on clients who are from Africa or have parents, they're first generation and they have parents that are from Africa and different regions. Again, like we don't as I don't want to braid someone's hair in a form that's in a region in Africa and offend them, right? Because I'm American, right? And
Right.
it's completely different. And they're like, well, you don't know because you ain't been here and this is how it is. So that is a fine line for within our own community, because again, every region is completely different and culturally braids mean a certain thing to each culture, to each region, whether you're from, like you said, South Africa, West Africa region, or the East African region, even North. So absolutely, it's like you don't want to offend within our community as well. So. Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the rise of more natural hair in projects? I think it's a beautiful
I
expression.
love it.
And I think it's awesome. It kind of took a while,
Yes.
but it is making a very dramatic impact, I think, on projects.
Absolutely. People who advocate for Black people, as far as who are non-Black, who have kind of some way in the industry, right? Some weight in the industry. They're actually using their voice to say there's not enough diversity. Like, you walk out of on set and there's diversity because this is the world we live in, and then I go to work and I don't see it depicted here at work.
Right.
When you have people who do that, and then also the consumer too as well, the audience, if you don't see yourself on screen, right, after a while, and then the people who are writing, right, it's not reflected in like, it's not something you see like at home. After a while, you're not going to watch it.
Yeah,
You're not going
I'm
to
a
be
big
interested.
firm believer in that. I mean, I write so many things with so
Mhm.
many different diverse casts, and
Mhm.
that's a big deal to me. It always has
Mhm.
been. And I grew up on a pretty diverse set,
Mhm.
and I see it. Some places there's so much more diversity now, and there's a lot of places where there's very little.
Mhm.
And it's hard to tell stories about diversity if your writer's room isn't diverse, because you just don't know.
Mhm.
And it's hard to see yourself in these projects. And also, it's easy to offend when you don't have people who have been there and experienced it. There's no one there to
Exactly.
say, not like
Mm-mm.
that.
Exactly.
That's not what my family does. That's not what my community does. That's not
Exactly.
the people I know.
Exactly.
And on the
Exactly.
Connors, we touched on bits and pieces of it. I wanted us to get
Mhm.
into it a lot more. We
Mhm.
talked about Mary, played by Jaden Ray,
Mhm.
about her hair. When
Mhm.
Myelin Robinson came in as Gina, as her mom,
Mhm.
basically giving the whole family, like, look, I'm gonna teach you all how to do this right, because hair is a
Mhm.
big deal, and you can't have my kid
Absolutely.
looking raggedy out in the streets,
Crazy.
right?
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
and that's a real thing. In my case, it's something I want to touch on a lot more, of being in an interracial couple, having a biracial child on the show,
Mhm.
the complexity of that, of learning it.
Yes.
I mean, you
Yes.
and I have talked. I want to learn how to braid hair because I think it's a good life skill.
Yes.
and, and
Yes.
and that's the thing, right? And to be supportive, to be
Yes.
able to help, because also early on, Jaden and Myelin were kind of doing their hair until we got somebody who really understood how to
Mhm.
take care of their hair, and that
Mhm.
can be a very serious issue. And it's not fair to them. It's not fair
No.
for them to have to commit more time, or Jaden's mom to have to do that, who's not getting paid for that service.
No. Exactly. Exactly. And it's crazy because, like you said, getting paid for the service is like these parents with these kids. They're doing their kids' hair, and that's not their job. Their job is to bring them to work, and then all that gets done, that's included in their job.
Right. I mean, not just our business, but our business in particular, because we're trying to portray an authentic view of society.
Right.
And it becomes impossible to share those stories or be authentic if you don't have people who have had those experiences in the room,
Exactly.
on the stage, in the hair and makeup rooms, making you realistically match what's going on in society. If
Absolutely.
you go into a movie theater and you watch something and you look up and you say, okay, well, that's not something we would do, or that's not how it's done. You know,
Right.
we joked about edge work, right? Like, you know,
Yes.
doing your edges.
Yes.
That's it.
But
Listen,
that's a thing.
I coach a group of 22 girls. There are some girls who will not play until their edges are
It
done.
just look, I'm trying to tell you, that is a thing. That is a thing. Especially right now, it's like all the craze right now. Everybody's like, I gotta get my edges right. So if even if you don't have your edges swooped, they at least have to look full and look like your hair is healthy. And I think that goes into the maintenance of natural hair, you know, and trying to understand your hair so then you can get the results that you want with fuller edges, or like a nice, you can get the edges that you can swoop, you know.
As we see this inclusion of diversity in our business
Mm-hmm.
on screen, that's great, but that has to move off screen
Off
as
screen,
well.
absolutely.
And some places are really good about it. Some productions are fantastic, and other productions,
They're
it's a
still
real
trying to get it
battle.
together. Mm-hmm.
And I get that a lot of people work with the people they're familiar with,
Mm-hmm.
but you
And I
have
guess
to have new people come in, and you have to get people who know what you're doing and how to represent everyone who's being represented.
exactly. It's easy to be comfortable with, like you said, the people that you work with, you know, or that you're used to. So that's why a lot, like you said, that's why it's kind of a lot harder to get that more inclusion, like people like you and who've been in the industry, who kind of have some weight, go, hey, this doesn't, you know, I'm going to hire this person because I know that this person will be perfect because of the experiences that they've had, or this person is going to be great for it because of this, that, and the third. You have the openness, and sometimes you being an example goes, okay, and that project came out really great. Huh, let's go on. Okay, so what did he do that's different than what we've been doing? And then to see that inclusion, and then to say, okay, to have that diversity, then it's just like, you know, you hope that that just opens up and starts to trickle throughout, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all about inclusivity for me. You know, I mean,
Mm,
even, you know, my production companies with my writing partner, inclusive, and then mine is mutually inclusive, because for us it's about inclusivity. For us, it's
mm-hmm.
about having authentic stories. Those same excuses have been used for far too long to keep people out. Oh, I'm working with the people I'm used to or I'm comfortable with. Well, if it's because they're really great at their job, then some portion of that is okay. But the truth is, new people have to come in and
Mm-hmm.
new voices have to rise in
Mm-hmm.
order for us to share a more authentic story and for us to really reveal the whole world.
Exactly.
You can't do it with the same old people. Plus, those people are going to age out. Those people are going to move on. We need
Uh-huh.
good, talented people. Ashley, maybe take us through like doing, say, box braids, right?
Okay.
You're going to put in box braids. How long that takes? Because I think a lot of people don't have a concept of that.
I have a client, and she has box braids on the show. I have to have a whole separate day. It cannot be on set. Her hair would be, I think it's about 4 hours. It could be like 4 to 5, maybe. Yeah, between 4 to 6 hours is how long it could take for me to wash her hair, you know, depending on if she needs a deep condition. We blow dry if she needs a trim. That's a whole process. I always want to make sure that I maintain the client's hair as it's being put into a protective style, which are braids. That's a process, separating the hair, making sure the parts are neat, making sure I have the right size that is needed. Because again, my client's going on TV, so she needs continuity from before, and it has to be the same. So I take pictures as well, so then we know exactly what size, and then we get information from, you know, if the producer wants something or whatever, if they want maybe a little smaller or whatever the
Right? Can
situation
I
is.
can
So,
I jump in? So like
mm-hmm.
as you know, depending on the person's individual hair,
Yes,
you may have to add a different number of packs of hair. Depending on
yes,
how much hair you're adding to certain things, that's how big the braids end up, and that's
yes,
part of the continuity thing. And then sometimes you do them, and then you have to get a check or approval either from the network or from a producer or a showrunner or both.
right,
Sometimes, which is the real
mm-hmm,
chaos, right?
mm-hmm,
And one person will say, "No, go bigger. I want bigger,
mm-hmm,
thicker," and somebody else goes, "No, no, smaller and lighter."
right,
And I think sometimes also people forget because they haven't worn them is that's a person wearing weight on their head and on their neck.
exactly,
And
exactly,
one of your gifts, I'm going to point this out as we're doing this, is if you're tender-headed, if you have a soft scalp and you're used to it hurting when these processes happen, hire Ashley. because
Oh,
Ashley is kind and gentle and
oh, thank
patient,
you.
but also takes care of your hair, which is also
Yes.
something for a performer.
Yes.
When you transition to a new look, if your hair wasn't taken care of, it could be a nightmare.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of my clients have gone through that and like are in the struggle. A lot of my clients have hired me because they know that I take care of their hair, and that's why I'm like pushing to get into the union and getting my like days, and just because I want to be able to have that people of color who have curly hair know that somebody's in the industry that is trying to preserve their hair, because they have had a lot of really terrible experiences with being on set, where they go on set and they have to do their own hair.
Yeah,
um
that is a thing, particularly in our business, that really shocked me. Growing up around so many different people with so many different backgrounds,
mhm,
I just assumed that kind of you get hair and makeup, you get hair and makeup. But I've been shocked on certain projects to watch how, particularly African American actresses have
mhm.
had to do their own hair. That's adding a whole secondary job that nobody else is doing. And to maintain natural hair, it's an art form.
Mhm.
It really is. One of the
Right.
reasons I wanted to have you on is because you do such a masterful job and you do so many different types of people's hair. Men are kind of easy because most of it's just continuity, because kind of our hair is what it is.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
unless it's facial hair or wigs or things like that,
Right.
for female actors, that their process is so different and can be so
Yeah.
dramatic.
Yes.
One of the things people should do is they should go to your Instagram, Hair by Ashley Noel, and look at like Marseille Martin, whose hair you do
Mhm.
quite a bit,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
Issa Rae
Mhm.
and Angela Lewis, and just see
Mhm.
the different style. Where does that style, as far as what you want to do with them, start with? It start with analyzing their individual hair.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I need to know what their texture can do. I need to know like what products, and that's important because every head doesn't have the same products. I kind of have like certain base products that I use, maybe like a shampoo, a conditioner, and a leave-in conditioner. But as far as styling, I need to know exactly what their hair does. And then once I kind of get a hold of that, depending on how much hair they have, then I go into what are we doing this for? Is it for an event where it's very upscale? Is it an event that's really chill, mellow? What are you wearing? And then a lot of the times, my creativity comes from clothing. I don't know why. That's just it. It literally sparks what it's for, and then clothing. It literally sparks like all of this like creativity, and I just go in. So what kind of mood am I going for? Okay, do I want to add a hair piece? Then I'll go in and say, okay, what kind of hair do I want it to be? More curly? Do I want it to be a little bit more sleek? Do I want it to be like an updo? Do I want it down? That all depends on how the aesthetic of the clothes. I always ask my client, what are your vibes as well? I want to go ahead and back and forth because I want to make sure that my client is happy at the end. If we do the collab, then everything will mesh together. For the most part, my clients are like, yeah, I'm on board. And then there are times where it's like, okay, how about either they said, oh, I love this, let's add this, or let's maybe I love this aesthetic, but maybe let's take this here, take this off, or whatever. So it's always a collaborative effort, and I love that. That's why it's very important for me to have like bonds with my clients, because I want to make sure that I do the best that I can for them, so then that they can feel good.
Talk maybe a little bit about on the show
Yes.
doing time period hair, right?
So, yeah. So, time period hair, again, I figure out different pieces. I actually talk to wardrobe. I talk to the department head. We have a conversation about what is happening, what she's wearing with my client. We all talk about what vibe that she's going with, and what, she's feeling, because I want her to be confident, so when she's on screen, you believe her character. I don't want my hair to be a distraction. I want it to be a part of who she's portraying. Depending on how long they're going to give me as well, and how I could take all of her hair and put it in a style that would work, so that it would be less time, but yet still not stifle my creativity to portray each time something different. for each scene. So
Yeah, I think it's important that people realize hair a lot of times sets a tone, right?
mhm,
You just woke up. So you want them to
mhm,
still look good because it's a movie or a television show, but they have to look like they woke up.
mhm,
They're going to a formal dinner, right? This has to set the tone of, she's making a statement when she walks in the room. So
mhm.
that's a totally different goal. And your hair has to kind of make that statement visually before anything else happens.
Absolutely.
And this is one of those areas I think it really can make a huge difference on a production, because if you get the wrong person doing your hair, especially for African Americans, and you mess up the hair early,
Mhm.
you may not be able to pull off that look or
No.
maintain it or do other looks later
Yeah.
because the hair is damaged and can't hold it,
Exactly.
or has
Exactly.
to scale back. And that can really alter kind of the image that you're going for.
Exactly. And so when that happens, we thank God for wigs. And so far, I'm really happy the way the industry is going as far as like wigs, because they're making all types of textures that look natural. African American, a lot of Black clients, like there are actors and actresses will go get their hair done outside to get the wig put on, and then just go to work. Again, they're still doing their own hair,
It
their
should it
job.
should be part of the process. And
Yeah.
I think we can touch on some of the inequality in that way too is,
Hmm.
and this is one of those things for me, is people don't realize how much extra time goes into, like, hair, for example,
Hmm. Hmm.
male versus female, right?
Right.
I'm a guy, I have pretty simple hair. I got a lot of hair, so I get a
Hmm.
haircut almost every week on our show to kind of keep the continuity the same. So I take a
Right.
little more time than others. As a rule, the guys show up late, right? Like, basically, if we're shooting
Pretty
at 9
much.
o'clock, we can be there at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's
But
usually what the call sheets look like.
right. And then the flip side of that is for our female counterparts,
Mhm.
for an 8:30, 9 o'clock call, they may have to be there at 6 or
Six,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Yeah,
That's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock after you already spent 4 or 5 hours making the hair work the day before.
absolutely.
And I don't think that that's always gets acknowledged. Female actors get this recognition that a lot of times
Right.
they have to put in longer days
Yes, they do.
to
Yes, they
achieve the
do.
same look for this project.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. I'm there with my client. Won't have to be on set until 7, and we're there at 4 o'clock in the morning. It's like, well, this is a process. This is what we have to do to make sure that. And then her male colleagues, they come 6, I think, maybe,
Yeah.
like, and it's just like, we've worked probably the day before, right? It's pretty long, right, and late,
Yeah.
and now you get like 2 hours of sleep, and then just because you have to take longer, it is a process. It is definitely a process.
And I think that's where having someone who really can do it well,
Yes.
like I was touching on earlier, if you mess up the hair,
Yes.
now it's an even longer
A
process.
longer process, because
And
now
it
we have
can,
to like
over the course
combat
of a
and
season, it can go
yep.
from, it was a 3 hour process in the beginning, and now it's a 4 or 5 hour process because we're trying to make something work because the
Yes.
wrong person was doing it. It's one of the reasons why you want to call Ashley. If I can turn into a commercial for a minute, you want to call
Right.
Ashley or someone who's super
Yes.
talented. If you don't, you end up
Yeah.
with a totally different problem.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for, my counterparts
Yeah.
to show up 3 hours early or 4 hours early, or that people don't really get that, or for an event. Sometimes people say to you, we want you to you're going to wear a dress, right?
Mhm.
You're going to look great at this event. You have
Mhm.
these earrings and this necklace and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Okay, so it has to show. So that means hair's got to go up, but hair's got to be
Mhm.
kind of designed and done first and then put up.
Yep. Exactly.
And you got to do the
Exactly.
edges, right? So
Yes,
you
we got to
can't go
make
out
sure
with
those
no edge
edges
work.
are laid. Okay. Absolutely. It's especially to manipulate natural hair, it does take a lot of time. Sometimes I do have to, the hair could be wet, and usually a lot of times I kind of want it to, so then I can kind of blow dry and then and manipulate it myself and start to create. I kind of want like a nice clean canvas. But to blow dry takes about 30 minutes, you know what I mean? And then to do the intricacy of braiding, adding some hair, manipulating, twisting, and pinning, and it takes time. It definitely takes time.
And straightening.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
yeah.
sometimes
If you want something to, yes, absolutely. I
you
definitely
want
had to blow
something
dry and
straight.
straight. Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes producers, I think, not because they mean to make it harder or mean to make it take longer, but a lot of it is ignorance, right?
Yes,
And as
absolutely.
diversity is growing in our business, but awareness has lagged behind, in my opinion.
Yes. The awareness, like you said, it's what I do now. And so that, it's so funny. I've heard some people on set told me like, oh, you're bold for doing that. Well, has anybody tried? Like, has anybody really actually tried and go, hey, this is going to take me a little bit longer. And I know you're on a time frame. I understand. But you have to allow me this amount of time if you want it to come off and you want it to portray on screen. If you want something done right and you want it to look right the first time, so that whenever you're as a director, you want it to look good, then it's gonna take time, and you so they understand like, okay, you know what, she right.
Men might not always understand, but
Mhm.
we know what good hair and a good setup looks like, right?
Mhm.
Now, on the flip side, female audience members know exactly kind of what goes into that, and they evaluate each other's hair hard, right? Like that that is done hard, right? Like
Yes,
for the performer, they know that. And so it's
absolutely,
so beautiful
absolutely.
now to see real natural hair now in
Mhm.
projects, to see people really doing really artistic,
Yes.
beautiful work.
Yes.
But it does take a
Absolutely.
lot of time and effort, and you have to have an artisan who knows these skills and has this complexity in their toolkit. You know,
Mhm.
you know, I've watched you work, and I've watched you work on people where they're unsure, and by the end they're turning to you and saying, well, what else, or what else can we try? Right?
Yes, that is every client that comes to me, they say they love my work, right? And it's always, sometimes it's like it's so beautiful and it's so different for them. And they're like, okay, let's go ahead and work. And then they're like, oh, well, I don't know, and da 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 da. And like you said, I try to make it as comfortable as possible, to where I tell my client, if you don't feel comfortable with something, I'm always open to changing whatever it is. And I always want to make my client feel that way, because I'm doing a service for you, one. And two, this is your head, your hair. I want to make sure that you feel good, because it's yours. It's not mine. It's yours. So I can't say, oh, this is going to look good on you. No. If you don't feel that it looks good, then let's figure out how we can make it feel where you feel good. And if you don't, I'm always going to tell you if something's not right, because I'm a perfectionist. So if something doesn't look right for me, I'm going to continue to make sure that it looks aesthetically fine for whatever it is for you, as my client, or whatever the event is for and whatnot.
Touching on
Mhm.
wigs,
Mhm.
male, female, whoever, right?
Mhm.
When you wear a wig, there's so much
Mhm.
that goes into putting on that wig
Mhm.
and making sure that you're capable of doing whatever it is you need to do in the scene.
Yes.
There are people who can just put a wig on, but
Mhm.
that's not the real skill. The real skill is to
Mhm.
get it to match in the edges, to
Mhm.
stay flush, to
Mhm.
move around and still have some flow or some movement or some
Mhm.
kind of life to it. So it's not just, so it doesn't look like your eyes have been pulled back and
Yes.
you look surprised the whole scene.
Yes. My client last season, actually, I did a wig on her in the scene. Their house got raided, so I had to make sure that that wig did not fly off, because she did her own stunt. So I had to make sure that that wig did not fly off and do whatever, and it wasn't a distraction. It has to match what her. I basically, you wouldn't know that she was wearing a wig.
A gap of time, the first thing they want to do is change the hair.
Yes.
It's kind of the starting place for a lot of the tone and changing.
Yes.
Take us through, you know, sometimes you get a lunch break or an extended period of time where you have time to really do that change. But there's a lot of times it's on the fly as they're moving equipment. And what's your window normally look like, Ashley?
If I didn't have that time, I probably would have only had like 15 minutes. This is why I make friends with PAs on set, because then they know what's happening. So if I need to go to Crafty, I'm like, okay, you just stay with me.
Yeah. Let me know. So if you know if something's happening.
Yeah, but it's like, but I have to go through those lengths though, just so that I could get the little snack time. But what if I want to have time to myself? I don't want a PA next to me, and I want to have like time where I'm just like I can think about the day, think about what's happening later, eat my food, enjoy it, taste it.
It's not like you don't
I
have kids or anything else to think about, right?
exactly like
Yeah, we don't work a normal 9 to 5 like people
no,
think, right?
no,
And
exactly.
for example, like glam, a lot of times glam happens after a day of work. And so you've gone through this whole day of working one way, right? And now all of a sudden you have to make this person glam. You set somebody up for glam or whatever, you get them all ready, but then they get into a car. So the next thing you do is you're looking for the pictures. Like, I want to see the picture. How's it look, right?
Where's the step and repeat? Let me see. Let me go ahead and go see. Absolutely. It's like my job never ends. It never ends, like social media, right? You want to make sure that you have some kind of platform for yourself because this is how your business thrives, especially being entertainment. This is how your business thrives. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not a social media person and it is so hard. I'm young, but like, or being on social media to tell people, oh, I'm here. Oh, people, hey, for me, because everything in my life was like, well, whatever happens at home is your business. You know what I mean? You
Right.
don't spread your business out in the streets. So you're like, well, now I have to, now it's okay to open up a little bit. Like,
Yeah, I got to
I
push a
don't,
little bit of my business.
right. I have to push a little bit of my, okay. So, I've now figured out a way where I can give a little bit, but not to where it's just like uncomfortable for me.
And it's a fine line because
Absolutely.
clients are all different. And
Yes.
some people are okay with you announcing that you did that project, and other
Mm-hmm.
people are a little more secretive or a little
Absolutely.
uncomfortable with that. And I think that's,
Absolutely.
and same thing on production, there are hierarchies in every department,
Mm-hmm.
and so hair and makeup, for example,
Mm-hmm.
whoever runs that department, this is one of the problems I see sometimes, particularly with minority cast members in particular, is
Mm-hmm.
they don't always get the person that they need. Ashley's
Yes.
not looking up YouTube videos and doing it
No.
on the fly in the middle of this to go
No.
put you out into the middle of the world,
No.
right?
Oh my gosh. Yes,
which
I've
which we've all
heard.
heard stories of that happening.
Yes, I have heard. And I was like mortified. Like, how do you? I don't understand is it's a pride thing, I feel like. Say, like, the department head doesn't really know their department, right? For the first time of the meeting, could be on set, and you get something you don't know, but you've seen so and so practice or do something, or they've talked about it, and you've seen their work while you've been on set. Then you go, hey, so and so can do it because I just want to make sure that everything is right because I don't want to bad on me, and then
Right.
I don't want production coming for our department for because we can't get it together. No, to make everything smooth and everybody in a good space and it runs great, then I'm gonna but a lot of people don't do that because they're like, well, I'm gonna do it because they're afraid somebody's gonna take their job.
Anytime in any business, not just ours, but any business,
Hmm.
if the job doesn't get done, they're going to be looking for somebody else who can. So
Exactly.
it's more important to, even if it is hard for you in the beginning to admit, it's better for you to find the right person who has the skill than to pretend and then get caught in front of the whole world. Because in our business, millions of people are going to see your screw up. It's not just a couple
Absolutely.
hundred
It's not
people.
just right.
It's not the people on your block who are going to see how bad
No,
that worked out.
no, it's gonna be it.
And
Yes.
bad hair speaks for itself.
Oh, bad hair lasts a long time. People remember bad hair for, and you don't want to be remembered for bad hair, you
Now,
want to, there's people who are remembered for, oh my god, his hair was always great, or her hair was always, it was always great, you know what I mean? Because again, when you look at somebody, you look from head to toe, so the first thing you see is their head, so you want to make sure that sometimes the health of your hair and the way you, some people judge people off of that first. Sometimes like, oh, the people have color in their hair. Okay, maybe that's how they express themselves. Maybe they're an introvert and that's how they express themselves, or whatever. You see that first, and then the rest. It is very important. People will remember bad hair for sure.
all right, what is the best part of your job?
The people I meet, actually, like I love human interaction. It kind of fuels my soul to know that people are doing well, knowing different people's backgrounds. Like I love learning. So like if I can learn, like if somebody's from a different country or if I can learn like their cultures, like I just love meeting new people and how people from different walks of life could all like kind of the same thing
Yeah.
or similar things is really,
Yeah.
really cool. And then of course the artsy side of me is like I love to create. Like I love to I'm very good with my hands. I've always been really good with my hands. Like I sew, I crochet. Like I just love working with my hands. I'm very hands on. So to be able to sculpt and create in hair, and I have like this crazy imagination. Like I'm always thinking of like just, and I don't know where that comes from. People are like, you have all this energy, all this, your mind just, and I'm like, I thank God because it helps me with what I do. So, and to be able to take that and put it for people to see, to say, okay, it's just awesome like to be able to do that, and then people love what I do, and then people love to be around me, which is great because I love people. So
I'm gonna give you a plug, Ashley. If I got a show, you're one of the first people I call for hair because you can do it all. It doesn't matter race, gender,
mhm,
background, time
mhm,
period. You can do
mhm.
everything, but you also are both a great person, which is one of the
Oh
reasons why I wanted to have you on, but you're very caring and compassionate about the person, making
yes,
sure, let me get the look, but not put 20 pounds of extra hair on your head, or
right.
let me make sure that we get this nice full look, but I don't want to make you look silly or do something that's going to take 5 years to pull off every week. So you have to be
Absolutely.
here at 2 a.m.
2 a.m. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and for people who are tender-headed, people who have never had braids in, particularly people who haven't been in the African American community, don't understand what it's like to do a twist, right? Twists take
Mhm.
time, right?
Mhm.
And that's pressure on your head. To put in
Yeah.
braids, there's some
Mhm.
pressure.
Mhm.
And for me, you have a gentle touch, but
Mhm.
yours last, right? And
Yes.
that's the fine line of trying to do it
Yes.
right without hurting the person. And you're gifted. You're an artist in that
Oh,
way,
thank you. I
especially.
thank my child for that, my daughter. She has taught me patience and efficiency without tugging because, again, I want to, you know, I think because I care for her and she has the texture that I work on the most, I want to, the energy that she gives, I want to be able to have that energy with my clients. You know what I mean? I want it to be a pleasant experience for each. But yeah, again, it's the passion and to love what you do involves learning all of the time. I find products, I find ways and techniques for me to be able to be as gentle as possible, but to be able to hold and last for my client. And like you said, to where it doesn't take 100 hours, you know. I may be okay with getting up and being there at 2 in the morning, but my client may not want to. And I don't want her to be sitting and getting her hair done and she can barely stay awake. She felt like, I don't want her to be stressed. I want everything to be as smooth as possible because, again, she has a job that she has to do, and I want to make sure that it is executed and that she still loves what she does. And the reason why she stopped is not because of me, if you know what I mean, if
Yep.
anything. So,
No, it makes perfect sense. And if you wanted an example for the world of why you need people who are passionate, who love what they do, and why we need new people in our business all the time, that's it. Someone who loves what they do, who wants other people to love what they do and feel empowered doing it. You can't get enough of that on a set. You can't get enough
man,
of that in life, period.
man, yeah. I think kids kind of really opened that up for me. Is like I live for more than just myself, and so, and that just made it more aware for my life in general with the people who I interact with. It's bigger than me. And so if I could be, I know how I would want to be treated.
Yeah.
So if I can just be able to do that for others, like it's not going to hurt me. It's only going to fuel my soul. It's only going to maybe help somebody who I didn't know that maybe needed a word or just a hey, how are you? Sometimes just a hey they probably didn't get that at all today. They probably felt invisible, you know what I mean? But it's just like, why not acknowledge the people that are around you, that are in the room with you? What you do affects the next person, big, small or big, you know, so especially if you're working in the same room. So absolutely, especially with my clients, I'm going to be touching them and creating with them. I want to make it as pleasant as possible because, again, my job is only one moving part for the whole thing. And I want to make sure that my part did not affect it in a negative way.
All right, Ashley, what's the hardest part of your job?
Early mornings and late nights.
Tell the truth, right?
Oh,
Tell the truth. It's those early
God.
mornings, especially
Oh,
with kids.
oh my God. Yeah, yes, especially with kids trying to figure out, okay, you're gonna get those kids to school. Okay, you got this, you're doing that. All right, they got packed them lunches whenever I can, put them in this. Yeah. But like those early mornings and those late nights where you think you're gonna be done, and then they're like another 2 hours, and then it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and then you're like, okay, now it's 3:30. All right, and then sometimes you film in a cemetery, and then you're just uncomfortable. It's just like
Yeah, there's strange places, strange environments, strange times. You look at the call sheet and you're like, oh, okay, this should be an easy day, and then you're like,
yes,
what happened? And then
what
other days
happened?
you look at the call sheet and you go, there's what? I gotta go where?
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
in the middle of your day on a call sheet, the thing that always scares me is move of location, right? Like, oh
Yes,
no, we started here and
yes.
we're going
Now
someplace
we're going
else.
someplace else, and then they have to set up there, and then it's like, oh Lord, yes, absolutely. I think that, and then also, I feel bad for the PAs. Is that like a kind of,
No, I
because
agree.
I,
PAs or production assistants, for people who don't know, they
yes,
are, for lack of a better term, the lowest people on the rung, and in every department. They're production
every,
assistants. They
yes,
start with a lot of times no real title or department. It's usually people at the very beginning of trying to get in,
trying to get in. Yeah, exactly.
and
Yes.
they are forced to do all the jobs nobody
All
wants to
the
do,
jobs you don't want to do.
or pick up the
Absolutely.
slack when things start going haywire.
Yes, absolutely. We have a PA for the 80. I feel bad because those PAs that's in between, that just that one, it don't matter who you are, that one has to make sure that the cast gets to where they need to be so that they can be on set. The amount of times that I've seen those PAs sweat, cry, go high, go in a corner, just be like, "Arr!"
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes, you know, depending on how long they're in hair and makeup, the PA is like, well, I'm doing the best that I can because they're not, I can't
Well, and
rush
the
the
PA doesn't
process.
have any authority,
They have no authority.
but they're going to take it no matter what. Every year, usually you get new PAs, because
Mm-hmm.
usually after a year, if they've done a great job, they move up or move on to another job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like this year on the Connors, we had Emily. Last year, we had a young woman named Nitsa, and I
Mm-hmm.
probably will interview them at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing coming in as a PA, because you start at the very bottom. A lot is asked of you, and a lot falls on you.
Yes. Yes. And that, I think, is the hardest part, is because sometimes, depending on the PA, they'll come to me negatively
Mhm.
while I'm trying to do, create, while I'm trying to work.
Yeah.
That interaction, I have to check myself, because I have to know that they're not coming from me personally. It's because of what's happening on their end, where their stress level is really high, and this is the only way that they can get this message across to me, because they're going through, and getting them done and done efficiently, but then also like it done correctly. You want to be efficient, so where it looks good and it's done right. Now we're
Well,
waiting again.
well, and this is one of those things I always say, and it comes from a coaching thing, is John Wooden used to say, if you don't have time to do it right, when are you going to have time to do it over? And on set, there's nothing worse than having to fix it in set, where you don't have access to every one of your things.
Nope.
And in the middle of all this, you got 100 to 1,000 people staring at you, and time is running. People rush hair and makeup. But if they don't look right, you can't shoot it anyway.
No.
So it's an extra minute or two of prep makes things work faster in the end, but people forget when
Absolutely.
they get a little stressed.
Exactly. That would be the hardest, and then just the early mornings and late nights. That's in locations.
Yeah.
I hate when they were like, oh, the stages. I'm like, yes, all right, cool. We're at the stages, cool. And then they were like, what location? I'm like, where we going today? All right.
A friend of mine, Michael Rizzolo, who's a boom operator, always says we're indoor cats. So he said, don't take me outdoors. We're indoor cats.
Absolutely. Indoor cats. I'm just like, I'm looking out the window, just like, oh, this is nice out there. All right, cool.
We don't need to go on location. We're good. We can do it here.
Oh, man.
Okay, how long have you been in the business?
My son, it will be 5, so 5 years. So I've been in, that's when I got my license. So, and then immediately was in entertainment. I have a mentor who also does, she's a hairstylist as well in the industry. You know, she taught me everything she knows. And then from there, I just kind of took my own way and just, obviously I did my own learning and my own research and stuff like that. And so 5 years, I've been in the industry 5 years.
Now, when was the moment that you knew you wanted to do something in the entertainment industry? Was there a moment, something you saw, something that sparked you, or you just kind of came this way?
Well, born and raised in LA, it's kind of like entertainment is all around you no matter what. You've probably gone to school with somebody who's been on TV, who's a singer, a dancer, like somebody who's like famous, like you've been to school with somebody famous. I basically was around that. I was a dancer though. I danced with Debbie Allen, and I did a play with her called Pearl. At the Geffen Playhouse, UCLA. It did so well at the time. They extended it, I think, like another month. So that was like, I was 13 years old. I did gymnastics for like many years. So competitive gymnastics. And my dad actually used to be an agent. I was so into like sports and stuff. So I never really did like a bunch of acting or whatever. It was more of like, I loved just like running around and being like a kid. They were like, hey, like, oh, there's like a random audition for somebody who's like an athletic build child who could do this, that, and the third. Okay, go ahead, throw me in there, whatever. That is how I got to work with Debbie Allen for that play. And that kind of, now I was able to really see a production and to be like, wow, there's so many cool things that go into doing some kind of body of work for people to see, like for an hour or whatever, but you still get a great experience from that, right? And it's like all of these, but as a kid, I was amazed. I'm telling you, I talked to everybody, from the lighting guy, from the
All makes perfect sense to me. That's how we ended up here. That's how I ended up doing Fish's Call Sheet, because I want to show all these people. They were amazing to me, and I wanted to talk to everybody because I loved everybody.
Exactly. And that's kind of how I got broken into kind of like the industry and the entertainment. Debbie out like doing a play, and I was just like, this is great. For over time, I like had a love for hair. So again, I love movies. Like I love movies. I love TV shows. I'm really into the writing of shows. So like if it doesn't intrigue me in a way, the writing has to have a specific types of writing. For me has to be like, okay, you took time and you did this project, putting this out to an audience, and no matter if it's comedy, drama, romance, whatever. Once I found out, because all those moving parts, and then like I said, I love movies, it just kind of intrigued me. Again, the hair part, it came later. It's like I kind of was already good with my hands. Like I was braiding hair at like 12, but it was never like, that's what your profession is going to be. Like, that's what you're going to be. I grew up where it's like, you're going to find you a job. Like you're going to go to school, you're going to go to college, you're going to like, people like, you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, whatever. Yeah. Like I was supposed to be a lawyer. Oh, my whole family was like, you're going to be a lawyer, you're this, that, and the third. And I was like,
supposed to be a veterinarian.
See, exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, cool, sure. Went to school, got a degree in psychology. And then I was like, this isn't it. There's something missing. There's creativity, like there's something missing. And I was like doing hair. Like I was still like, people were paying me to like braid and stuff. Didn't have a license. I said, you know what? Whatever. I just was like, you know what? If I'm going to be a hairstylist, I know that entertainment would be a place where I would want to be, because I love entertainment and the moving parts behind it. And I was like, I'm really good doing hair. Go ahead and get that license. I opened up to my mentor. I said, hey, and she was like, it's crazy because I'm trying to figure out how I can like release my clients, because it's getting a lot for me. I'm getting older. It was literally perfect timing, like, because it was just supposed to happen, you know?
Synchronicity.
So, yeah.
Right? Everything lines up the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
You find the right people when you're supposed to.
Absolutely.
What's your dream in the business? If I could say, okay, Ashley, over the next 10 years, what would the dream scenario be?
Next 10 years, one, getting into this union. I should be there once we start production. Because of the whole corona, they shut down our production.
Right. Pick up enough
And
days, get enough names on the call sheet, right? Enough call sheets
exactly,
ahead, and then, right.
exactly. After that, my dream is to know that when a person of color walks into the hair trailer, that they have a sigh of relief because they trust that I'm able to do the things that is needed, and they don't have to be traumatized by someone who's not educated in their hair, doing their hair, and messing up what they've worked so hard to do at home, probably.
It's heartwarming and heartbreaking for me at the same time, right?
Mhm.
Because we all know, both of us know, African Americans, particularly young female African Americans, who have had that experience where they've had a traumatic, terrible experience.
Mhm.
So the idea that they have to come in and take a sigh of relief when they should just
Mhm.
be coming in and taking a moment off their feet. This should be their safe place,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it should be. Exactly. Exactly. So I'm hoping that that changes within the next hopefully 5 years, where they're just coming in like, oh hey, coming to work and I get to go ahead and just get my hair and my face done.
Yeah, I get to sit with Ashley.
Right, so see, right. And listen, I'll have some good music playing, and then we'll talk about whatever before you have to really get into whatever you have to do and have that time, because you as actors have to have that time to go over your lines as well. Even though you've been studying them, you've been going over them, but to be able to transform into the character that you have to portray, you want to have. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you can tell some actresses are in the chair and they're just like, okay, I'm gonna go over my lines or whatnot. But then sometimes, a lot of times, they're like, I just want to relax right now before I have to just go into work mode. You know what I mean? And I want to make sure that the vibe is right for the client and that they feel good. Again, so like you said, I want them to walk in and be like, this is my time to let my load off before I have to dive into work. Also too, I want to, within the 10 years, I want to be able to get more people who know how to do have a diverse background in doing everything in hair. Like I'm going to try to bring whoever I can in that I know that has integrity, that has a passion for what they do with hair, and that they are well versed in knowing all textures, all inclusive. Like that's who I want to be able to help bring in the next 10 years, so that there is diversity, so the industry, it's easier for the industry as well. Like I just don't understand why you can just go, okay, you can blink and all of a sudden you have somebody that can do whatever.
Well,
That's what you want.
we're about inclusivity. I mean, my whole
Hmm.
thing is about inclusivity. I really feel that when you walk into that room, what you said is right, is you should have a good vibe, because that's what sets the tone a lot of times for what your day's going to be as an actor. To
Hmm.
show up, to have somebody, you're in good hands. It's a very personal thing to have someone touching your hair, touching your face, touching your skin. Not very many
Absolutely.
people do that over the course of our lives, if you really think about it.
No, yeah.
So you're trusting somebody so that you're already very close. It makes a huge difference. And I love that. Ashley, that's like the perfect answer.
Oh,
May the best job you have be getting to work together so that I can come in multiple days a week, smile at you, and say, all right, the vibe is right. What's your most memorable thing that you've done? Most memorable project?
is that crazy that I say like every project's really memorable? Like
No,
every
I love
single
them all
one.
for separate reasons, right?
Yes, I
Yeah,
love
I
them
love what
all
we get
for
to do.
separate. Yeah, yeah, I love them all for separate reasons. Everything that I do has such a really good memory attached to it. Yeah, that's a good question. But now that it's a good question, because my realization is that I'll a lot of, like, every project to me, for me, is memorable because I feel like every interaction is important. Every project meant something to that person, or to, you know what I mean? And that, if that affects me too, is like, I was a part of something that was good in this person's life. That's like memorable for me, is because I see like photos and you can tell they shine, they feel good. You can tell, even when you're on like set for a photo shoot, you can tell that they feel good, and that I'm part of that, something that they'll remember. And those are memorable for me.
What's a moment that you just couldn't wait to share with your loved ones?
So I think it's really where hair has taken me. I would never imagine in a million years that I would be flying on a private jet for a press tour. Like, but again, that's because I love what I do. And a lot, if you put your all into things that you love, that what you love to do, it'll take you places you would never think you would be. It's easy to, there's a lot of people who are fake. We're just going to be real. There's a lot of people who say certain things in your face, right? And they don't have anything to back it up, or they say they're going to, and they've probably done it for other people, but for you, it's just, people get burned in this industry as well. So to be a genuine person and know that I'm not here with any ulterior motives, I'm here just to do what I can for you as my client. Clients turn into family. Literally, like every single one of my clients has literally like family. I know probably their grandmother, their mother, their father, just every aspect, again, because I cherish family too as well, and I cherish my personal life and how in this industry that because you're in the public eye don't mean that everything should be public. You know what I mean? And I understand that. So I think too that I'm not going to be like, oh, I did with da 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 da, because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to be able to provide a service for you. That's great. Those people would say, hey, you should come with me and do this. I have a press tour that's coming up. Let's go do this. Oh, hey, this, that, and the third. Because they enjoy you being around in general. When you walk in your purpose, things just blessings start to just come. I think as far as like where I had to call my family, like it was great. Like it was a press tour, everything was paid for. I was FaceTiming my kids. I had my daughter help me pick out what I was gonna eat for dinner one night at Four Seasons. It was, it's like never, and I'm so humbled by it, and I am so grateful for it because again, I was like, I'm gonna be this young girl who's gonna come in this industry. She's gonna do natural hair. She's going to try to do the bits and pieces that she can with herself to try to change the industry, because you've heard so many things on the other end and you're just like, this can't happen anymore. I think because I've also had a bad hair story. I got a relaxer at 13 too as well. My mom didn't really know, and all my hair broke off really bad. So I think to know that, because I was dancing and they said, oh, well, you need to get her hair straight so that she can continue to, she doesn't sweat out her press while she's dancing for the look that we want. And to see that you compromised for that. And now my damage, like you said, the damage was done to my hair. I don't want that to happen to anybody in this entertainment industry the way that it happened to me.
Can I follow up on
Yeah,
that? Can I
yeah.
ask you a question about that?
Mm-hmm.
People always ask me, because I did a lot of really embarrassing things on the Roseanne show in my
Mm-hmm.
teenage years, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was that like for you to have that moment where you do this because you want to appease other people,
Mm-hmm.
and you're trying to do your best for the job,
Mm-hmm.
and then it works out terribly for you,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't really get the support that you should?
Mm-hmm.
As a teenager, teenage years are tough enough for everybody as they are to begin with, but then to
Absolutely.
have your hair get messed up, I
Yep,
could
middle
see how that
schools.
could really
Yeah.
make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, that's why we thank God for protective styles where you can probably put it in braids. But who's to say you really wanted braids? You like the way your hair was before, but because you had to do this thing for this job, it affects it. Instead of it just being that job, people can release that, they go on, but now I'm living with this long lasting impression emotionally and physically on my head for just a moment. And there are other ways and options for someone to be able to carry a hairstyle, or maybe just not do it that way, you know? And there's other options. Sometimes you have to get people to know that there's more than one way. That's kind of like what fueled me to be like, no, like if I'm gonna do hair,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it with a purpose, and it's going to be because I think it's now I'm 20. I was 25, I think. Yeah, 25. So for 12 years, the same thing keeps happening. like, and I know it was happening way before me. So that means decades in, like, we got to figure something out at this point. Like, it has to be some kind of change. It has to be some kind of something.
But you
And
do it better.
so,
I know
yeah.
this much, Ashley. You do it better. It's one of the reasons I trust my family in your hands. You're the person I call for my daughter, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in my family, you're the person I call because you know what it takes, regardless of hair type,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of style. You're that person because you care. And I think you've done something transcendent. I'm sorry you had to go through that experience,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll tell you that there's a lot of young women with natural hair who are reaping the benefits of your kindness because of it.
I appreciate that's really it. If the work that I'm doing, I think in anybody who does any job, if it's just benefiting you, then what are you doing it for? Like, it needs to benefit and help others too as well. And as long as I'm doing that, then I'm doing it right. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I want to make sure that, again, like we touched on, it's more than just, people. I like the interaction, and what you do affects little or big, because even if you do it for self, it's still affecting somebody else. As long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do in my career, giving knowledge, education, their hair and what to do and how to maintain. So then that when they walk into a room as well, that they have that knowledge and say, hey, my hairstylist said that this, that, and the third. So then somebody doesn't take advantage of my clients as well. Like, I want to make sure, or just people, or people in general who may not know about their hair in general, from all, like you said, all textures. I want to make sure that people have the education, so when they walk in, they feel a little bit more confident too as well.
I'm going to try and lighten you up for a moment because we
Okay.
went real deep. All right, what's the strangest thing you've ever seen on a set?
Well, doing on a period show, I know this is kind of like, I seen like cocaine, but not really cocaine, but like because we were dealing with crack in the 80s for the show, and I saw this room and I was just like,
It's
huh,
so odd, right? Like just seeing it laid out, like it looks like a super
right,
drugged it, right? Like you just
right.
go,
What you really, yeah, right. What you imagine, oh, it's in front of you, but it's not real, but it's in front of you. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I think props, and how, for me, it's like really cool, like how they can take an empty room and then make it into an apartment in like a week, or overnight sometimes.
I'm amazed
Um,
by props and set dressing and all of those departments. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show and kind of share their magic and kind of the behind the scenes portion of it.
well, whoever you're interviewing, tell them, okay, that they're awesome for that creativity, and how you like make things happen that quickly is really cool. As far as hair, the strangest thing I've seen on set, I've seen people like make faces if they know they messed up, or and I just wish they would go like,
Help.
oh no, like, you gotta let them know.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
help me. Don't just let them
like,
make
somebody,
faces, right?
right?
Tell
Like,
somebody you need help. Don't
yes,
let that person
please,
walk out there like that.
please. Oh my God, like
Well, I
that
always
to
tell
me.
people a real friend tells you when there's something in your teeth or your hair's not right or whatever. Your real friend turns
Yes.
to you and is like,
Mhm.
right? That's a real friend.
Mhm.
If you walk around all day with a group of people and you walk up and you see a friend and your friend goes, hey, you got this stuff, and you go, that's when you look
Right.
at everybody else and go,
Everybody
okay,
else before them, like,
yep,
oh,
you got,
okay.
those are my real friends.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Then like babies, like fake babies, and then
This year
fake pregnancy
we had an
bellies.
animatronic
Those are
robot.
different.
We had a robot baby on set
See,
briefly for a preemie, and that it's weird to watch a guy turn it on and remote control and like
that's
and ask questions that you would only hear on a set, like, am I moving the legs too fast?
oh my God.
Like, you're never gonna hear that anywhere else, right? Like, am I
No.
moving the baby's legs and arms too fast?
Oh my God. Yes, that is so true. It
And
is
in
so
our world, we
true.
hear stuff like that all day, every day.
Exactly. Exactly. So to me, I think that going on set was an adjustment a little bit, because I was just like, oh, that's not real. Okay, wait. Okay. So yeah, that was cool. That's some cool stuff. Yeah.
Okay, if you could go back to any project or assignment in your past, knowing what you know now,
I think maybe my first viral hairstyle, I guess. I know different techniques now and different ways that I could have like, it still came out great. People love it. It's on Pinterest. People like save it and like recreate it and stuff. So it's cool. But I think, but that's more of a personal, like, oh, okay, you could have done this, that, and the third. But like, yeah, yeah.
All right, now I have a final run of questions that I ask everybody.
Okay. Okay.
What's the first thing you look for on a call sheet?
My call time.
Okay, what's the last thing that you want to see on a call sheet?
My call time. If it's like super late or
super early, at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., anything that's before like 5 or 6.
Oh my God, yes. Also too, how many scenes?
Yeah, a crazy setup with a
A
million scenes
crazy
on it.
setup, and where, yeah, the way the scenes are set up and like, the way the scenes are set up and exactly like how, if they're gonna like, oh, if we're doing a scene a new scene, and then we have to go reshoot at the end of the day a scene that we shot the day before, and now I have to change that part. I hate seeing. I'm scared to see how the sequence of the day is going to be. Then for sure.
Oh yeah, there's nothing worse than have to go back in time,
Absolutely.
especially for hair.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite thing to see at craft service?
Ooh, coffee. But like in a whole espresso machine. I need variety. Okay.
Okay.
I need to be like, all right, I feel my caffeine's running low. All right, what am I gonna treat myself with today? It's like little highlights, right?
Yeah.
And I love bagels and cream cheese.
All right, now what's the one thing you hate to see at craft services?
The guy who runs craft services.
I got a great one. I got a guy named Chance who's amazing. So the great ones are out there. You'll get the right one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how do you define success?
As long as whatever I'm doing it's giving life, or it's helping someone else, I guess, that fuels me. And like, as long as I'm happy doing what I love, also family. Success to me is just like a completeness of like love, family. My career is great, but also like, it's just ever evolving. My brain is ever like, my creativity is ever evolving. Being able to be open to receive knowledge, just living, and learning every day, to me is like success. That I'm able to wake up in the morning, and that's another day of receiving love and giving love and learning, and then having people around me that love me and support me, and vice versa.
All right, Ashley, how are you measuring up to that definition of success?
Just being open and honest with myself, open and honest with the people around me. Yeah, that is the way that I will be able to measure up to that success, is just to be open and honest.
All right, what's the one thing that you want to see on every set?
Smiling faces, smiling, So I love smiling faces. I want great energy every day. Like, you're happy to be here. Yes, you've worked these long hours, but this is no place else. There was no place else that you'd rather be than on this set, because it is what you love to do.
I love that. Me too. That's how I am pretty much every day on set. I love what we get to do. All right, now what's the first thing you would eliminate from a set if you could?
Disconnection of communication. I feel like people need to listen more and receive more, than to just bark or say, and be okay with receiving and not being offended and not taking it personal. That can go.
That's great advice. Yeah. All right, what's the best thing you've gotten from a project?
Like what did they give, like physically, or just anything? Okay, best
anything.
thing.
I didn't put parameters on it. I like to leave that open for you.
Okay. Knowledge, honestly, learning my industry a little bit more. I obviously I've been in it for a little bit, but I'm still learning, obviously. And so some of the politics, which is kind of weird, and like, I think understanding how things work as far as like being a hairstylist in the industry, I think knowing that's the best thing, because now I know how to move and navigate without being kind of like this like doughy-eyed baby trying to figure out, oh, I gotta go over here, I gotta, trying to, now that I understand how it works, it's like, okay, oh, this is how this goes. Okay, all these light bulbs went off. So I think that's probably the best thing I've taken from projects.
All right, how do you want those people who work with you to remember you?
That she was kind and she knew what the hell she was doing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you
Absolutely.
do, and you are.
I wanted to say that she's a pleasant person, she's kind, and she knows what the hell she's doing for sure.
What is the legacy you want your loved ones to take from your life?
That no matter how big I get, that I stayed humble throughout the whole process and that I did not forget the people who have supported her. Not like set like she's set the bar for us to reach, so then we can go beyond and to continue what she was doing or what she is doing. I want to inspire. Like I want to that she inspires people.
I'm so thankful you did this. Ashley, I couldn't think of a better person, especially for hair. I really wanted people to see your light and your love and your passion, and to highlight the way that our business is changing a little, and that it's growing, that we're growing together, right? And so thank you so much for coming on the call sheet and sharing all your insight and your wisdom.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. This was great.
If you'd like to be updated on Fish's call sheet, go ahead and subscribe or hit the bell below so you know right when we update new information.